Okay, welcome everybody in the room. And for those of you who are on the live stream with us, we are at the Data and Revenue Management Conference here in Sandestin, Florida with VRM Intel. And we are in the graveyard shift of the Fireside Chats. But I feel like we've saved the best for last. We have the Luxe Legends, as I have dubbed them. In our presence today are some of the top luxury vacation rental brands in the country, and I'm super privileged to call them friends. So I asked them, hey, can we just tell everybody what luxury is all about and maybe put some definition around it, because it can get a little squirrely. They're very accomplished, so I'm just going to start with Rob and Craigen over here, and if you'd introduce yourself and tell us about your brand and why you're here.
Thanks. So yes, Rob and Craigen. Nearly 30 years ago, I founded Moving Mountains with my wife and business partner, Heather Craigen. And we built our business very slowly, very organically, kind of learning the hard lessons along the way. It took us 30 years to go from one to about 250 homes, and from one market into 4 ski markets in the Colorado Rockies. We've always had the idea about our business being focused on the luxury end of the market. Every time we strayed outside of the lines, we found out that our customers had a very specific set of things they were looking for, and it was those luxury, more high-touch experiences, and that's ended up being what we're known for in the industry.
Hi everyone, Nir Maimon. Together with my brother Tal Maimon and our team, we developed the Maimon Group. We're a luxury and ultra-luxury property management company based in LA, Beverly Hills, Hollywood Hills, Sunset, Venice. Over the last years, we were really contemplating with the idea of what is luxury and where we need to be. And today we're also running a platform company called LPMS, which is basically an aggregator or marketplace where travel advisors really can find the best luxury properties in the U.S. So I'm blessed to be here, and this is a great topic.
Very excited about that for you. As an aside.
The
Aldays.
Yeah. Hi. Okay, so I'm Rachel Alday, and Rob.
I'm Rob.
We have Abode Luxury Rentals. I feel like almost every single person in this room I already talked to. So we're in Park City, Utah, Jackson Hole, Wyoming, and Sun Valley, Idaho. We started about 17 years ago, and we manage around 200 homes. And we have always focused on luxury homes from the beginning, and we're still dedicated to that. What else did I leave out? Okay.
All right. And this is Rob.
Yep.
Okay, so
Can't do it without Rob.
Can't do it without Rob. That's right. So we wanted to put some things in containers for everyone today, because we could talk about this for days. We're all luxury, ultra luxury experience, and so we're like, okay, we're going to put this into product and experience, defining product as house and amenities plus experience. Next level is execution of that product and experience. So that's team and tech. And then brand positioning and marketing. Now that we know what it is and now we know how we have to do it, how do we tell people about that? So let's start. Nir, I think I'm going to kick this off with you because you're very opinionated on this. Tell me, let's start just with, well, we could go either way. Product in general, house and amenities plus experience. Take us off with, like, what does that mean to you when you think about, like, the actual product that you're selling? How can we define that as luxury?
I love it. So first and foremost, I think the word luxury needs some clarification, so I'm happy to be here. And this is a process. Like, over the years, we're really asking that questions over and over. And where we're landing on today, where the information lay today, is that luxury has to be both. It cannot be just a product. It cannot just be the service. It has to be both product and service to really set yourself as a luxury provider. And if you look at the definition of luxury, is exceeding the expectation and exceeding the requirements. So when you talk about the product itself, it's a lot of things that need to take into consideration. You need to take into consideration the location, the layout, the scale, the amenities, the finishes, the privacy, the view. All of those items need to be taken into account in a scaling system to really define is this homes is above the standard.
Yeah.
And once you find that property, once you find that unique asset, and keep in mind, we say no to maybe over 60% of the homes that comes to us. We look at that. Is it in the right location? Does it has the right amenity? Does it has the right finishes? Is the view? Is the guest going to have the privacy that it needs to be? Is the layout is really make sense, right? If the layout doesn't make sense, that's not a luxury product.
That's friction.
That's friction, right? It's like, I mean, you go in and the ceiling is too low and you don't have the scale volume, or the kitchen is in the wrong place, and then if the finishes is not there, if you only have a marble countertop, but then you have a melamine cabinet, that's not a luxury product. If you have a hardwood floor, but then you don't have the right appliances, that's not the right product. So we're looking at all that stuff and we're rating our properties, and then we got to match the service, which is a whole different topic.
Yeah. All right, Robin, I'm punting the same question to you.
I think it's the valid question. Is this just, if you think about the massive fragmentation of our industry, one of the greatest challenges is that there would be people out there that would say staying in any kind of vacation home could be considered to be a step up from, most of us would pitch against a step up from staying in a hotel. Mm-hmm. So you're already stepping up into a different level of experience. I think where the word luxury lands for me is about differentiating that luxury experience that we believe we're delivering against what is maybe more standard, or even towards the low end that's going to be somewhat defined by the price. So when you pay a certain price to stay in a home, it comes with certain expectations. It sort of goes hand in hand. Luxury is providing a certain level of service that's more towards the upper end of what's available in the marketplace. We even talk about, we have another category above luxury, we call it ultra luxury, because we realize that there's even a level of client above our book of business that is looking for an even more refined experience, a more high level. I think it's more the game that you're playing in LA. You have many more of those clients, but there's a level of aspiration and service delivery that goes far beyond what your average, there's even such a thing as an average luxury guest and what they're looking for. But it is about, from where we come from, it's about providing the right property in the right location, as Nir said, with the right amenities, and packaging that with a level of service. So, the bigger question, I think, is whether all of these things together combine to provide us with a luxury level of hospitality, or we even love that term, unreasonable hospitality. Mm-hmm. So for us, I feel like that's kind of where we come from, is when you define who you are in the marketplace and you say we're up here, kind of visualize ourselves up here, there are other places to stay that are cheaper, that offer a different level of service. We all understand that concept from maybe staying in a hotel. Why do we have 2-star, 3-star, 4-star, 5-star hotels? Because they're offering something different at a different price.
Yeah.
So for me, obviously it's not rocket science. Luxury is towards that upper end, and for the most part, there's a level of service. The ultra luxury tier is, I think, it's a more rarefied space. I'm not sure if the business case is as strong up there, but there's a solid amount of business, and there are a solid amount of people in this country who are looking for that luxury experience.
Yeah. When I used to teach the culture of luxury in hotels, I would bring in now I can't even think about it. Is it Discover? What's the magazine that comes with your Amex Platinum?
Oh yeah.
Departures. Mm-hmm. Departures. I would bring in all these different things, and I'd be like, this is their life. Here are the ads that they're looking at. And so they're going along in their life, and everybody's, taking care of them a certain kind of way. And then they call your guest experience line, and it's like, it's a break in their life experience because you don't understand the expectations of how they're accustomed to be treated. So I'm going to ask y'all, because Mountain Market is different than Beverly Hills Market. It's a little bit different. Yeah. So what is luxury to you and in your world?
Do you want to take this, or you want me to do it?
Yeah, no, I just could kind of bounce off what Nir and Robin were saying was, you have the product and you have the experience. I could rent a house from Nir for $20,000 for a night, for a week-long stay, and if he just texts me the code and says, no, you can't have an early check-in, check-out's at 11, get the hell out of here. That's not, the house is nice. Like the asset itself, but all it is an expensive asset at that point. It doesn't create that luxury experience where you have to have the connection with the guest. To me, is what really drives, understanding why they're coming there, being able to curate those experiences throughout their stay and let them know that they're supported. They have this team of people behind them to support them throughout their stay if anything happens, if they need anything, then you really create that, that experience.
Yeah. And if you have the experience but you don't have the product,
Then you just lose it. Yeah.
it's still not luxury.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
No. I think, it's really hard to quantify. Like we've all said, how do you define luxury? Because you wouldn't want to say that it's like a Wolf stove or it's a marble countertop. Like it can't. You want to allow for places to have authenticity and uniqueness depending on the different area of the world, of the country. And so how do you create standards when it comes to the actual home to allow for, a nice, authentic, true experience, but you can't put it into like a box. And so that's where it gets really hard.
So a little customization, I'm hearing.
Well, I mean, to me, the luxury, like when we're deciding if we're going to work with a home or not, it's like how well kept is the home, like up to date, like functioning and not having deferred maintenance, right? And then, yes, always, it would start with location. And then, depending on where you are, there's always like the nicer neighborhoods, the mid neighborhoods, so if you're luxury, you want to have, we talked about this yesterday, I don't know, about how it can't be like the nicest home in a crappy neighborhood,
right?
Because that's not luxury. Like it has to be 360. So you're selecting the area of where you operate these neighborhoods that are the appropriate neighborhoods. You have to have good houses that you're talking to the homeowners of the good houses in those neighborhoods, and you have to make sure that the homeowner, is on board with maintenance and upkeep, and that you can see that when you go into the home for the first time. And plus you have to find that out when you're meeting with that homeowner, because if someone will not keep up their home, then it won't stay luxury. And probably when you first go to it, it's still not, if they haven't, if the heat isn't working properly or like the hot tub's not maintained or whatever. And so to me, like those are the components that have to do with the house itself. And then the experience is way too hard to even almost get into here, like in a short conversation, because the experience is the whole part of the guest booking journey. Like that whole thing has to be handled in a consistent way to offer true luxury. Then it's the whole guest while they're there and that whole concierge piece, and then the follow-up afterwards, and all of that has to be consistent and offer the storytelling and keep that experience going from the very beginning, first time they ever look for a property and find your property, all the way, and so that part, to me, the experience part is so important, but huge, like really hard to talk about in any one conversation.
Right. I mean, with the time that we have. But what I'm hearing each of you say is destination matters, inventory, and being very protective of not only the inventory, the actual home, but the homeowner that is behind that, because that shifts things. And then do we have the bandwidth to provide the experience that the guests that would come to this would expect?
Right.
I'll give you a very clear segment to that section.
Amazing.
If you don't mind, because this is exactly what me and my team do right now. Like these days, because we embarked on this journey of LPMS. So we go and we talk with all the biggest property managers in the U.S. We find the best players. So first and foremost, I will interview property managers to qualify the property manager as a luxury property manager.
Yeah.
And it goes to, do you offer concierge services? Where do you do your laundry? Do you do commercial laundry or you do it in the houses? Do you do preventive maintenance or you don't do preventive maintenance? Tell me about your cleaning system. Tell me about your safety. Tell me about your information that you're providing to the guests. So fundamentally, I will find very few, way more than you think, way less than you think, luxury property managers. Once I qualify the property managers, then I can look at 300 of their homes, 500 in their homes. And even though they call all of their portfolio luxury, I can tell you from experience, going through that exercise, maybe 20-25% of their inventory is actually luxury. And the way we go about it, we have a scoring system where we look at each individual property and we go to those points. Where is the location? What is the square footage? What is the type of amenities? What is the type of the finishes? What is the type of the privacy? Is the guest has privacy? Parking, how is they going to park? Access, right? Backyard, view, not view. And then we handpick out of the whole inventory very, very few homes that we said, you know what? Knowing that property managers and knowing that homes and going through the exercise that we did, this is a good luxury properties. And we can now book our customers, or I recommend our travel advisors to work with that property manager.
So essentially what we're saying is just because you have granite countertops and a resort-style pool does not constitute luxury. So now we know what we have to offer our ideal guests, and we know who our ideal homeowners are. Let's talk about how do we bring that to life and be consistent in the execution of it. And I want to start with you, Robin, because I know your team.
Some of the best.
Whoa.
Some of the
They
best.
know what they're doing.
They do know what they're doing, and I think, I think it's because we've had that company-wide conversation about, our culture. It's not just about what it feels like to work in our company, but it's about the mission of our company is very visible. We created these culture walls in the office, so it's right there. They walk past it every day. That they see that we have a very simple mission that probably could fit almost every vacation rental manager in the industry. Is we create memorable vacations and exceptional homes. Now, maybe someone else's mission statement is we do our best to create an okay experience and not disappoint the customer too much. But I would say that's a label that you could attach, unfortunately, to a lot of people in the industry. We explain to our team, everybody understands this, and this is the power of culture that I feel like when we started doing this, I remember a consultant saying to me, it's like, what's the culture of your company? And I was like, it's right there in the name. We're here to move a mountain for the guests. Everyone knows that. And he's like, does your staff know that?
Yeah.
If I ask every member of your team, would they talk about your company culture the way you just did? Could they visualize it and describe it the way you just did? And I was like, maybe they could, maybe not. And we actually, we were probably only 20 people at that time, but we got together and we formalized the culture and we created this mission that what really brought the culture to life was learning that if you talk about that as what is it we're here to do together and what are the values that we want to apply to the decision making that, your team is making decisions. Even though you may say your job is to go service the house, clean the house, get it ready for the next guest, your team is doing many other things and caring about what they're doing. If they understand that it connects back to the idea that the experience has to be essential, that we wanted to make it memorable, and even in the business development side of, taking on a home, does that home, I had this almost immediately reflected back to me when I was in the mode of we need to take on a house because we need to pay the bills and we need to find a way to keep this business going. And I had a couple of people in one conversation say, I don't get this exceptional feeling with this home. And that could be the home, that could be the homeowner. But if this is not an exceptional home, if this is not going to be an exceptional experience, then how are we going to deliver our mission?
Right.
Because we're not even starting with the right product.
Right.
So I think through culture is kind of how we executed on that mission, is by clearly saying to our team, it's not rocket science, this is where we're trying to go, guys. I want you to come with us. I want you to do this. And actually what you get from it as a leader and as a manager is when people start doing things and you're not watching them, that's when the magic truly starts to happen.
Yeah, I love that. Now, y'all you have your library, you have free mental health for everyone, which in hospitality is sometimes required.
Yeah. I agree. Yeah.
There are no stories like property management stories. So let's talk about your culture at Abode.
Yeah, I feel like one time I heard Robin on a podcast, and it was right when we were starting to get into company culture with our company. And I remember I was like, because at that point, before that, we had like 10 years where we didn't do much about company culture because I was just so anti-corporate anything. And then it came up as something that we needed to work on, and we realized just everything that Robin said.
Would it make you feel better if I said it took us more than 10 years?
Robin's told me some early stories of maybe not so great culture attitudes.
Well, and the culture thing is
we all get there.
Like how we found it too is we work with consultants too, and it was great how they phrased it as like you're excavating your company culture. It's already there.
It's there.
It's in place. It's what you built.
Yeah.
And so you have to excavate it, and then the
And
light
does that
really
match
shines.
the guest experience?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So that was big. Going
Because
through that
that,
exercise.
and Robin touched on this already, but I'm going to drive it home. Like having the values in place and the company culture, which I always used to think this was just such BS, but it's really true. Then it sets the tone for the team so they can make their own decisions, and that, you know, you're not micromanaging and you're not having to like give scripts for everything and like give, you know, yes, they need SOPs, but they don't have to be so specific, because you're creating a situation where people can make the right choices based on, you know, okay, like they're all in sort of a combined hive mindset at work. And then when someone in the team isn't following that value system that you've set up, like all of a sudden they stick out like a sore thumb. They sort of
pushes them out.
Yeah, they like self-select themselves out because they kind of once they.
Or you're able to have that conversation about.
Yes.
Not that you didn't do something the right way.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, in this moment, did we live our culture?
Yeah.
Did we honor our values?
Right.
Yeah.
And it's like, then they're like, oh, you're like, you're serious about that, right?
Yeah. You're not bad or wrong,
Right.
but we have to have the conversation
Right.
that this was not honoring the value of teamwork,
Right.
and we've all committed to that. So, like, the problem's out here, and we're solving this problem locked arms together, as
Right.
opposed to you're bad.
Yeah.
Right.
Shame on you.
Yeah. Or you didn't do it the right way. You didn't do it my way. It's like, well,
It's our way.
if I did it and I achieved our mission, then you can't really judge the way I did it.
Yeah.
And I mean, it got easier for me because I could then say, I could praise people based on, we as a team, we're killing it because we're living our culture, we're achieving our mission.
Yeah. Now, I used to have a celebrity event planning company, and my culture was great. Everybody worked their patooties off. Everyone was super happy to work there. Everyone was empowered. And they also knew, if you take a cell phone pic of one of these celebrities, you're fired on the spot. Done. And that's how my customers trusted me. So how do you manage that dynamic in Los Angeles? And like, you have celebrities, you have politicians, you have dignitaries come through. So how do you manage your culture to encompass these kind of extra dynamics that not everybody knows what? I mean, I was raised in the entertainment industry. I'm a SoCal girl, so I kind of like knew. Not everybody knows how to deal with that. What do you do?
100%. So what we're talking about, like, I think setting up what is luxury is easier than building a team
Yes.
that can execute on the luxury level.
Amen, amen.
Right? Because it's like, okay, we can define the property, that can be black and white, we can align the services and the amenities, that's pretty straightforward. But okay, now how do I take this and build a business around it? And it's really the challenge. So from our perspective, it starts with hiring the right people.
Yeah.
If you have the wrong person in the wrong seat, you can have the best culture in the world. You can have the best SOPs and KPIs and scorecards and BI tools, and you name it. You know, pay them double. It doesn't make any difference. They're going to fail.
Mm-hmm.
So we're putting a lot of emphasis, and we, hire slow, fire fast.
Mm-hmm.
We're hiring slow. I will interview you. I will run you through a personality test. I will ask you questions like, why did you choose to be in hospitality? And if people saying, like, I like the life, I like the glamour, that's not a good fit. Like, you finding people that in their core, in their eyes, their passion about providing really, really good hospitality and really good service. And they're eager to learn, and they're high drive individuals that can do multiple things at the same time. So for us, it starts, and just like you said, the culture will push you out. We used to hire people, and we used to talk about how amazing is it to work with us. Like, look at our houses and look at our cars, and you'll be surrounded with celebrity. Now, when we're hiring somebody, we tell them why not to work for us.
Right.
This is why you don't want to come and work for us.
Because honestly, behind the scenes, celebrity is not as sexy as people think it is.
No.
It's a little more complicated,
No.
and I'm sure all of you have had
tough.
the experience. Maybe not as frequently as in LA, but like, and they don't know. Well, that's a whole other conversation. We'll have to recap about that. So that's team. I want to make sure that we get to brand positioning and marketing, but let's just quickly touch on tech, because I think in luxury, tech can be an advantage, or it could almost derail you if it's not set up right. It could really screw up the guest experience.
Right.
So who wants to jump in on tech first?
I've seen a lot of situations where, to be honest, I mean, we have a lot of tech in our business, but I would never describe us as a tech business.
Same.
Yeah.
So I did just about fall off my chair when I heard that was the pitch with Vacasa. Where tech-enabled hospitality is like, man, you just took the soul out of this industry.
You just lost the plot.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
just lost the plot. And I mean, your tagline was, "And we're in business to make money." It's like, listen, we're all in business to make money, but that's not what lights our boat. It's not what makes us smile. It's not why Heather and I decided we wanted to stay in this business, having run a luxury yacht in the Caribbean. Why did we do that? We were having fun in paradise and hearing people say that was one of the best vacations we've ever had. And after hearing that a few times, it's like, if we didn't hear that, we were like, what did we do wrong? Like, why? We kind of felt like we failed. So we just worked harder to make sure that we heard that every week. And we're like, when we started hearing that with Moving Mountains, it's like, this is why we do what we do. It is amazing how, and I think this is how it translates to your team, is when people find purpose in their work beyond, I'm not just here to get a paycheck, when they feel good about the work they're doing. And you can really say this about hospitality, is we get to spend time with people trying to have the best days of their lives.
And what a privilege.
That's such a privilege. My daughter was a firefighter for the last 4 years, and we always said, Maddie, it's like you went in the opposite direction. You're with people on the worst days of their lives, and you're hoping to make a difference. But you're with people in life or death situations. We're with people on their happy days. Mm-hmm. And of course, there comes a lot of pressure with that.
Yeah.
And I would say with the team, it's like, guys, we're playing the hardest game in the league. We're reaching for the Super Bowl every year. And why do we get such a rush out of this? Is because it's not easy. It's because to take care of that client who has such high expectation, everyone expects a lot for their vacation. When you get to play at the highest end of the industry, reaching for the highest bar, and you get that 5-star review, I mean, that's a high that everyone is like, that keep me smiling for a week.
Yeah. And I think when you're talking about these people too, you have to realize that the time usually is greater than the money.
And
That's
yes.
Because the money, they can make it back whenever, but it's the time, they only have 7 days with their family or whatever. So the pressure's on. If you screw it up, you're going to be in trouble. But if you knock it out of the park, you get
Such an opportunity, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
I had an ultra luxury wealth manager I was branding, and I happened to text him at the beginning of the year when the markets were going crazy, and I'm like, because he only deals with billionaires and 9-figure family offices, and I was like, how are your clients about all of this? He's like, their lifestyle doesn't change at all. And that was just kind of like okay, it's not money. It's not money. So you've got some opinions on tech.
A little bit. So I think we're in a shifting times.
We are.
And I think tech is taking a whole new form of a part of your organization. And I think that we are now embarking on this journey of perfecting our tech stack, because we're realizing that actually tech is going to enable us to be even better hospitality companies. So we're looking at things like, how can I use tech to be more personalized to my guests? How can I enhance my marketing with my tech? We go and spend a lot of time perfecting all of our workflows and looking for bottlenecks. Where is fragmented? I drove a Tesla the other day, and I actually bought one for my wife, and it's not a luxury car, but the tech on it is the UI and the experience on it. I'm driving to my garage, and it's opening the door without me clicking on the button. I'm like, this is what I want for my guests.
Yeah.
I want a seamless interactions with our home, seamless communication. If they need to sign the contract and then go to a different app to sign the guest verification and then another app to make a payment, that is not luxury. So we're diving in a lot, and we're spending a lot of effort to use tech to empower our team, to empower our guests, to free time, so our teams will have more time to focus on the things that matter.
Yeah.
You want my guest experience to go and have a conversation with my guest when he comes into the house. How can you do it if you're not empowering them to have all the door codes, everything on there, right there in their hands, ready to execute, so they can actually be calm, prepared, and be able to engage with those meaningful communication. You want your people to capture all the data from your guests and put it in your CRM so you can empower your marketing and be personalized. You got to give them the tools and the items and the features to do it. So I think if you're in any business, but especially on the luxury side, especially in hospitality, and you're not looking at what's going on and you're not investing at what's going on, 2 years from now it's going to be too late.
Yeah.
You're going to fall behind.
I love it when I go get my Mercedes serviced. Like, there's a camera that captures that I'm coming around the corner. And when I roll in, the doors come up, my name's on the screen, and everybody's like, Miss Hurdle, it's so good to see you. And they know what I like, and they know what's going on. They have notes on me. And then when they bring out my rental car, they know what they're doing. They're like, oh, we thought you'd enjoy, they heard me say at one point, maybe a convertible in the future, we thought you'd enjoy this convertible today. We know it's not in the rental program, but, you know, Miss Hurdle. And it's like, okay, so now you're using technology to make me feel special, to make me feel seen, and you're leveraging it to possibly upsell me. Like, that's good use of tech.
We've just been in the Wayne Hotel in Las Vegas, and we stayed in one of the best restaurants over there.
I love the win.
And I ordered a glass of wine and asked for the ice on the side. Then the waiter changed, the shift changed, and I ordered a second glass of wine. And guess what? The second waiter that comes to our table brought me a glass of wine with ice on the side. I stopped everything. I says, guys, stop, I got to talk to you. How did you know? Where? She's like, we have a system.
Yeah.
And the first waiter wrote down that this is how you like your white wine. So when before I grabbed the second wine, I went and brought you the ice on the side and the white wine.
Yeah. The wine was the product. The ice on the side and your notes was the experience. And that's, if you're not keeping notes on your higher end guests, and like you don't know that this is their anniversary, or that their daughter loves to have a little, you know, bunny in the room or whatever, that's part of the experience.
I have that saying in our team that, I mean, we're far from achieving this, but don't you feel like any guest that comes back, no guest should have to tell their story twice?
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's like, because, I mean, it's
Because you're not the cable company.
You are not.
Thank you.
And
Thank you.
and you're not the Mercedes dealer who sees you come back on a regular basis.
Right.
I mean, in some cases for us, it's 5 years from now.
Right.
In other cases, we have seen the same family come every other year for the last 15 years. And so we better know the names of their kids. Their kids came to us when they were 5, 6, 7 years old. They're coming back in their 20s and 30s now with their families. And it's like, you better know the story. And, you know, we're not, as Heather and I are, like, moving on to higher ground, it's kind of like, okay, so how does the team take that and run with it? Because those guests are still talking to us. Mm-hmm. And it's like, you need to keep up. So the great challenge, as you just said, is we have all these great tools right now. And I'm like, the tech is, in our case, we're not there yet. We're digging deep to try and bring our tech to meet the level of service that we want to provide, because I feel like we're catching the plates as they fall. We're just barely keeping the ship moving forwards. It's in our hearts that we want to remember and recognize people, but tech is going to unlock that for us.
Yes.
I feel like it is possible.
Tech enables the humanity. Tech enables like that experience of things, but it shouldn't replace it.
I love Steve Schwab always says to make us bionic, right?
Right, right.
Yeah.
I love that. He's been quoted a lot today.
Yeah.
He's made an impact. I know we're right at time, but do we have time for like one more quick question? If you want to hang out, okay. So those at home, stay with us. Brand positioning, which you know is what I love. Brand positioning and marketing. Let's just have if you could give one piece of advice in positioning a luxury brand to your ideal guests, what would that advice be?
I'm going to say it's just real simple for us. I think we were unusual when we started, that we just said we were only going to focus on luxury. But I would say it's that classic saying, do one thing really well. That's it.
Okay.
From our perspective, is have other people talk about you more than you talk about yourself.
Well, isn't that the LA way?
Yeah.
Well done. What about y'all?
Yeah. I would say connection and storytelling.
So let's talk about that for a second, because you work with my girl Neely Khan, and I was texting with her this morning, and she's
We've been doing a lot.
Yeah.
I don't know if the world's ready for it yet, but so we really believe in storytelling and working with Neely. We had some like crazy ideas, and so which is not a secret. Like, we're working on applying storytelling to each description, like throughout the website. But if you remember the J. Peterman catalog, this is my dream. So so we're working on a story for each property, like as part of a description, which would then could be an anthology of sorts. And then but that's a lot. So the other way to do this, like starting, is just to consider the concept of storytelling in all of your materials and all your writing and your website. So whether, obviously, it's really the best place to start is your About Us story, because you can tell the story of, you know, the people that started the company, and that's not so complex. And then to apply storytelling throughout the rest of a website is a little harder, because you have important information you have to share, and some of it is, you don't want to talk too much, which is hard for me, obviously, but
Me too.
But anyway, the concept of storytelling is so much more about like emotional connection, and I think connection is at the heart of hospitality, obviously, in all ways, whether it's with hospitality to your team or to your clients. And one of the ways you can do that is, you know, through, of course, like imagery and photos that are emotion evoking, but then also just that any written content would have that concept of like emotional connection, which storytelling is really just like a cheat code for that.
It is.
So yeah, those two things to me, I feel like if you're talking about aspirational, ultra luxury marketing, you're talking about, this is not about a value proposition. If it is, then you're probably using too broad a brush with luxury, because this is always about, like what Rob said, the value of time over the value of money, meaning that, you know, time to our clientele, whether it's homeowners or guests, is always more valuable to them than money. And so if it's not about money, then it has to be about feelings, because it's about connecting with them and giving them that, you know, experience or feeling that they wanted with the time with their family or on the trip or whatever. And so that's emotional connection, which, you know,
Well, the connection piece is just huge in the marketing piece, because then it gets you the referral. You know, they talk about you more than you talk about yourself, and it's just a circle of like, you connect with them and they're like, oh yeah, my buddy's coming out here, rent from him, or he's buying a place out here. Can you manage his house? You know, it's just a cycle that it's a flywheel that just goes.
Yeah. And you said something earlier, I think it was you, at lunch. You said, if you have to tell in your marketing that you're luxury, you're not luxury.
Mm-hmm.
You want to expand on that,
No,
Emmy, or just
Nir's
like,
the one that said that.
or do you just want to drop the mic, or?
Well, I mean, that's where we started from, is like, how do you define luxury? And I mean, I think we've all heard it said, if you have to say I'm luxury, it's like saying I'm great.
Yeah.
And it's like the minute you say, well, I think I'm great, it's like, oh yeah, right, sure you are.
And I know from an SEO and a GEO perspective, like somewhere you have to have luxury in the content, but that's not what you're leading with.
I think what we're afraid of is people that are, generalizing the term luxury.
Like in multifamily?
Yeah, I mean, you're commoditizing a term that's supposed to mean something special.
Yeah.
Right. And, you know, it bothers me to hear people say, you know, your house is clean and it's, and we have a security number to, you know, secure the house. It's like that does not by any stretch define luxury. Those are table stakes. That is what it takes to get in through the door. And unfortunately, in our industry, there are a lot of people that are barely achieving that. You know, so we need to know that as an industry, we need to have some basic standards. And then, I mean, I think what we're trying to do is provide a way for the marketplace to understand who we are in the market. You know, I love saying that really there's no better way to save $20,000 than not to take a ski vacation. And I mean, ski vacations are already a luxury experience because they are considered one of the more expensive vacations you can take, but it really does cost that kind of money to take your family away for a week. And we're working with a clientele that's like, I want to spend more. I have more to spend. I want to spend more because I can choose to stay in a more amazing home and to have a higher level of service. And it's like, at the end of the day, you're making a promise to the client that you can deliver on that experience, because going back to my other point is because their vacation is their most precious time of the year.
They're stepping away.
You almost can't put a price on that.
Yeah.
So their level of expectation is up here. And it's not rocket science. It is achievable. Otherwise, people like us wouldn't be achieving it. But it's like, stay true to that vision that I'm here to make sure that you have this experience.
Yeah.
And it takes a lot of work and a lot of commitment, but if you're clear about this is what we're trying to do, it's amazing what you can get a team of people to do with you. So.
Yeah. Well, I think in the United States, the concept of a vacation is like a birthright, and so like you can't to go from birthright to luxury is not. It's not an easy path, and so I think it's very impressive and also admirable for what you all have built. And I would recommend each of you The Aldays are very active on LinkedIn. Nir's active on LinkedIn. You're active on LinkedIn. I would follow them all because they talk about the behind the scenes and they talk about their teams and they talk about these things. And so if you want this continued conversation for you to figure out, like, well, how do I get there? These are the people that I would absolutely recommend following in the industry. And I thank you for joining me for our chat and
Thanks, Ever.
Thank you.
hopefully setting a standard. So thanks for joining us today.